Aloha, fellow flight sim enthusiasts, and thanks for joining me here. Quick update, behind me are two of my 55-inch displays. They are wall mounted now. So previously I had them kind of on different stands, and there were a few areas where they didn't quite meet at a perpendicular angle because the stands were a little different. Well, here it's pretty uniform and I can adjust it, which I kind of like. In my previous video, you saw the panel that I was working on with the actual gauges in it. I'm revamping that panel. I never actually finished it. I just didn't like it enough to finish it. Here is the new panel. This area is just to strengthen things. The glare shield is actually going to cover this part so you won't see it. But here is my major area for the 530, as well as my radio panel, my transponder panel, and my cutouts are already done for the most part. I do have to mount or cut holes for and mount something that I'll show you in a minute, which is the throttle. I've also put the flaps down here and my dimmer switches. So that was another big one there. Here, another part of the update, are CDIs. You can see the VOR CDI type stuff. They're built. They've been tested to function, and now it's just a matter of putting them in a bezel and mounting them in the cockpit. Another big one for me, I'll bring it out here, was the switch panel. So I wasn't able to get the bigger switches. If you look on the video for how to build this from Captain Bob, you'll see the bigger switches, vice these. Those bigger switches, you can't actually download the STL files anymore. I actually was talking back and forth with Captain Bob, and basically he has kind of a license to build those, but not to promulgate the design. So he can't send you those STL files, he can't put them out, but he can build them, and he's got them at an affordable price. But I went with these, and on this set here I just used white electrical tape to give me that avionics feel, if you will. But it works decently. On the back here I did have to change the design a little bit, but one thing that is nice is you can easily pull out the key, and after you put a key in, when you go to the start position, see if I can kind of get it. It actually does snap back, and this is why that spring right there is snapping it back. So I'm pretty happy with that. It feels good. All the right switches are there. My fuses look a little off, but I'm okay with that. To me, it still looks pretty good. And here is kind of another pieces part I have in motion. This is the throttle quadrant, and these are just metal straws. A lot of people are going out and buying long metal rods, and those are a lot harder to cut if they're solid metal. These are just straws. These are the metal straws. Everybody was in that whole reusable straw craze. Well, I found a good use for metal straws. They fit well through here. This is actually a design I found on Thingiverse, as far as the nuts here, and it fits perfectly through it. So it's the right size. And I also found these. This is for a 100 millimeter slider linear potentiometer. All I have to do now is mount the knobs on the front, well, clip the part of this I'm not using, and then mount the knobs on the front. And that sound you're hearing in the background is my 3D printer printing out my mixture knob. So my mix will be right here. My throttle's already done, I just haven't cut this to mount it yet. And then this is the shape of where it's going to go, so it'll be overlaid onto the wood. So there will be it's about a 0.2 inches of a bump, if you will, on the front, but that's about consistent with my switch panel as well. My dimmer panel, which is drying, I just painted it because I paint everything flat black. The dimmer panel will have two knobs on it as well, two potentiometers, and that'll come out the same length, and it'll mount right over here. Now, one of the things on here, if you've ever built any of these, a lot of people are buying the pre-cut CNC'd or laser etched panels. I'm using my 3D printer for everything. So what I did, and I'll bring it a little closer so you can see it, is I actually just, using a text editor, added the text into the STL file so it was raised, and I used a white paint pen to just get the words to show up in white. And that's the same thing as on the switch panel here. So go get the switch panel. That's how I did all the wording. I actually went in and modified all the files myself and did this. So nothing great, but it works well for me. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm hoping to get more done this weekend. Where the camera is right now is where that third TV goes, and that's going to be a freestanding area, unfortunately. So I'm still hard mounting that area. I'm actually reinforcing that against the wall so that when the TV's on it, it's a sturdier platform. And I have a new stand, and I'll show you part of the stand here. It was like $19 on Amazon. It's a metal stand. This is going to go on the table, or on the table structure I built, and I'm going to cut part of this off so it's not as long. Then I'm going to tap holes in here to hard mount it. So it is going to be the exact same height as all my monitors, and it will be consistent, it will be sturdy, and it will just fit. Everything will look uniform regardless of wall, slant, bulkhead, or not. So that's kind of where we're at right now on the build. So far, I will tell you that the delays I've had are the delays with printing. I have a FlashForge Adventurer 3 Lite, which only has a small printing bed. The printing bed is about 6 inches by 6 inches. And when you're printing something out that's 7 inches long, you have to print it at an angle to get the whole thing on the printing bed. So each one of these took 14 hours on its own. Each of these slider rails, slant potentiometer holders here took 14 hours on my 3D printer. And this panel here itself took another 4 hours. So a lot of my delays and a lot of my reasons for not giving you quick updates is just the tedious, slant, mind-numbing portion where you're 3D printing what you hope will work. I'm still towards the end of the 3D printing process. I have printed out my flap lever and all the pieces parts I need to make the flaps. And the last pieces, after I get everything mounted, including this center console here, or the dash area, the last bit to print will be everything associated with that lower center panel. So everything I need for my trim wheel and my fuel selector and my fuel cutoff will be the last bit of printing I do. I'm hoping to do that by August. I know that seems pretty far out. The reason I'm saying for August is I've got a work-related trip coming up, so that's a week out the window. And then I've got a 10-day vacation coming up with my daughter. So again, that's another 10 days out the window. That takes us really halfway through July. And I know there's other little tweaks and whatnot that I'm going to have to get done in here to get all of this really ready. So I'm hoping August everything's up and running, or at least I'm at the point where I'm programming everything in my Arduinos using MobiFlight for the switch panel, slant, my gauges, because even though I programmed them on the other computer to make sure they worked, all those files from MobiFlight are going to have to make their way down here. So I'm still going to have to do a lot of tweaking once I bring them down. And I still have one other bit I have to do here, is I have to cut a hole up here where I'm going to put that 16:2 LCD display. That way I can get outside temperature, battery charge, just like you would have in the aircraft, except it won't be round, it'll be square. But still good enough for what I want. I think it'll be okay. But just wanted to throw out this quick update because it's been a couple weeks since my last one. Questions, comments, concerns, always throw them below. Thanks for watching, and I do greatly appreciate all the comments. I've gotten some great ideas from people, a lot of great feedback. Definitely appreciate them. So, stay safe and happy flying out there.